This video is intended to help you get started with the topo map and some of the most critical elements there that are using some of the Carlson tools and help you get moving along on this project. The first thing to look at is the actual drawing here, which is where we're headed with it. This is off the base map. I use this for reference so you kind of get an idea of what we're looking at, what is supposed to be out there as though you had done the survey yourself. You can see this is an orchard. We're doing parcel 1 only. The site topo map is only covering parcel 1. Later on, we're going to do parcel 3, which is right after this, is going to be the ALTA map of parcel 3. So there's some work we can do on that just as we move towards that is also applicable to the topo site map. So let me focus on the topo site map. That's going to be, again, parcel 1 here. And in particular, as we zoom up on this area over here in the upper right, this area here is showing, some trees, some bigger trees here. You've got the house. You've got a driveway into a garage, and the driveway kind of loops around and goes out this other way. You've got roads, curbs, edge of gravel, edge of pavement, sidewalks. There's actually a fence along here, which is not shown on here, but there is a fence there. There's an easement line here. There's a power line. There's water here and sewer. So there's some things going on there. Plus, not to mention the actual contours themselves. Here's an overhead line that goes clear across over here and goes down here into this parcel 3. And also in parcel 3, which is the ALTA map, which is the map just after the site topo map that we're going to be working on, this has a lot of the same kinds of things. There's buildings in here. There's a parking lot, parking stalls, 2 big trees here, some shrubs around the outside, a big tree in the front yard, water meter, sign, curb, and gutter. Then this kind of is an interesting sort of curb here that fades into not having any curb at all. There's storm drain. So there's a lot of things happening in this map and in the topo map itself. So keep in mind that what we're trying to do here is do an existing site plan and topo of parcel 1. So that's where we're going with it. So one of the things that we need to do first off here is I just do a save as of the record of survey and then just start out with this base map because we still need that boundary around there. We're still going to do parcel 1. So if you use that as your base map, that leaves our settings the same and can work out a lot better for you. So first thing we need to do now is start bringing in points that we got from the field. So there was a field survey that was done so we can know where to put this. We know it goes up here somewhere in this upper right-hand corner, upper left-hand corner, the northwest corner, is this existing home with the driveway and garage like I just showed you. But we don't have anything to represent that right here. So we have to pull points in so we can draw off the points. Down here in parcel 3, all kinds of points in this area here. So one of the methods of doing that, and probably the most common one, is to bring in all the points and then to sort those points into point groups and then just plot those point groups. And then you'll see what I'm talking about. Then you're looking at a lot fewer points to work with. So we'll pull like the building points in, and then we can actually draw the buildings. Then you delete those points out because they'll still be in our SDR or CRD file, our coordinate file, but they're not going to be represented on the drawing. So this is a really good way of sorting out what you see and how to draw lines in between the points and make this go a lot faster. So let's do that then. We'll go ahead and do, and we've done this before, but importing points. And what we're going to go for is, let me go back to Canvas here. We are in the topographic site map module right at the top here under the site topo setup files. You'll see here's this master that I was looking at. That's that PDF shows the whole projects of throughout the whole semester, and so you can see the orchard and stuff. That's what that does. The next one down, you're going to want to download this. This is all the points, all the survey points that came from the surveyor. And while you're at it, downloading stuff, go ahead and download these other 2 files here. We're going to use a different title block on the record of survey than we did on than we're going to do on the site topo. So this is the one we want to use for the site topo map. And then this is civil trees. This is where there's just basically a drawing with a bunch of blocks in there that are tree blocks. And that will help you to expedite that so you don't have to draw your own trees. You can just use these and drop them in where they belong. Over top of the points where those trees have been surveyed. So download this points, and when you do that, go ahead and put all the stuff in your project folder so we can find it in there. So now back in Carlson here, we are going to go to import text style, text points. Okay, this should be a familiar screen. We're going to select text and ASCII files. Again, hopefully you've downloaded these points, and I've put them under, well, I don't here, but they should be under data and then points right here. Yeah, so I've got it right here, 3030 all points. So it looks like I've got it in both places, but it should be just under your points. So here's your subdirectory, project, then data, and then points. It defaults with those subdirectories, so I like to use what defaults there. So I put my points in there. You can see from our record of survey, we've got the CTL text file. That's what we used for those monuments there. So you can see in the lower right-hand kind preview, there's where all the M's, the monuments for the M dash. Right now, we'll pull in all of them. It's got the M's as well as all the other ones. So we're going to create our own or a new CRD file, and that'll pop up here in just a minute. So right now, select the points, click open. Again, this is a PYXZD comma delimited file. So in other words, point number, northing, easting, elevation, and description. That's what shows up in the preview. That's what we're going to use. So that's all good there. We're going to scroll down a little bit more. Draw points, make sure that that's set to off. And I don't want to have anything in the point group to assign. We're going to do that after we've imported the points. And then we'll go down a little bit more, store the coordinate file. I'm going to click prompt for another. So if there wasn't anything down here under current, there's none, so it would actually do it anyway. But this is a good idea to so prompt for another. So click OK. And then it's going to pop up and say, up at the top, it says coordinate file to output. So we're going to look for a coordinate file. Now we've got one here called the ROS, Record of Survey Coordinate File, but we're going to create a new one up here. Go to New, and we're going to create it. Let's see. Let's go. Just go all points. I'll cap that. PNTS is good enough. So that's going to be all points. So it's going to have a CRD that's going to have all those points in there. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and click on Open. It's going to create that CRD file. It's imported 358 points to that location. Okay. And it's not quite done yet, but I guess we're done. Okay. So now I want to go set coordinate file and make sure that it does the one. There's all points. Set that and open it. Now up at the top, it says CRD file, all points. Here's the name of my drawing, site topo, 3030 site topo. Usually you're going to use your initials there. That's fine. Okay, so now we've got that in there. Now let's go list the points, see what's listed out there. We should have all the points in there. Yep, 1 to 832. I'm going to click all just in case. Click OK, and then you can see them now all here, all listed out. Now, while we got this data in front of us, let's look at it for a few minutes here. Here's our M's. Remember, we pulled all the control files in here. That all worked great. That's a duplication. We don't need to have that right now necessarily. Then here's some other points we don't need to worry about right now. Here's the BLDG. So there's the description that looks similar to several others. So that's buildings. Then there's DRVY for driveway probably. You got EP for edge of pavement. You got top back of curve for TBC there. Walk. So there's some sidewalk stuff. More TBC, more buildings. Parking lot. So that's probably down there in that parcel 3. And so we can continue to make point groups here that'll make sense for us. Here's some big maple trees. So they start with a T dash for tree, and so on. Here's electrical power pole right here, ELPP for electrical power pole. There's a sewer in there, a sewer manhole right there, water valve, FNC for fence, water valve again. So these descriptions, and then ROW for right of way, more walk. And here's SWR for sewer, so different sewer lines. And again, some more trees in there and shrubs. There's FNC for fence. So there's a lot of different things that we can sort by description. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. And now we're going to go over to point or group manager. When we click on group manager, nothing really shows up. So I'm going to go create. Then at the very top, under group name, I'm going to make this one for the control file. So I'll go CTL. And then we're going to uncheck include. And this is in the workbook, by the way, too, the Carlson workbook for the class. But this is a good thing as that applies to our project. So description, and I'm going to go M dash, and then put an asterisk on there. So it picks up everything everything in the description that starts with an M dash, and then the wild card is asterisk is a wild card, so it'll pick up everything that's anything beyond that is still got the M dash in front of it. So I'll go save, and there's my CTL file. So there's all the M dashes. See M dash, then it's got RBC and all these different names. So instead of listing all those out, we just use that asterisk. So let's create another one. We're going to create one for buildings. So we'll go up here, again under group name. We'll call it BLDG, all in caps, uncheck include all. And we're going to go to description, and we'll go, okay, so now we'll go BLDG. Just in case there's something after that, we'll put an asterisk on there. Okay, and then we should be ready to go with that. So we'll click Save. Now there's BLDG. I look down through my descriptions here, scroll down. Yep, it picked up a lot of these BLDGs, so we're good with that. I'm going to create one more, and we'll call this one EP. EP right here. Now, if you want to, and you're not sure exactly what EP stands for, you can actually put in here, and we'll just go edge of pavement, so we know what that is about under description. It's not required in order to make a point group, but sometimes it's helpful. Uncheck include all, check mark description, and click here and go EP, and I'm going to put an asterisk on that one as well. So then we go save, and now we pick up EP, and again, it's got all of those points that have an EP as a description. Now, obviously, this requires that your data looks correct. All the points, they've all got EPs. So if you've got some different labels that say edge of pavement or edge of oil or AC, they're not going to get picked up in this point group. So as a company, you want to standardize this stuff. So what I always do is I pull in the text file, and instead of pulling it right into Carlson, what I'll do is I'll pull it into an Excel spreadsheet, sort them by column, and then actually get things so it's uniform. Especially if I get my data from another surveyor, they may not be using the same standard that we do in our company, so I'll go through and make sure that the descriptions conform to our standard. Make a copy of the original, and then start working with that in Excel, and then save that out as a comma delimited or a comma delimited file that's a text file, but it's comma delimited. And you save it as that type of file, and then bring it in here. So I can see now things are pretty organized, and of course in this class I've got it so that I don't have to deal with a lot of that, but that's the idea here, is to get things sorted out the way you want. So now we've got these different point groups, and it's an easy way to keep track of it. So I'm going to click OK here. Now I know I've got a point group called building, or BLDG. So now what I want to do is I want to draw and locate points. So click on draw and locate points, and I like to use this SPT10 just because it's an X. There's other ones. I think the workbook uses 9. I don't really care what you do here. It's just for reference anyway. Some people like using 11. I'll just use the 10. It works fine for what we're doing. Scroll down through here, and I like to keep these all on, check mark these, and kind of look like everything should be check marked like we want it to. And I'm just going to start here, starting with point 1. And then duplicates, erase and redraw, that's good. Scalar of the text size and symbol, that's all fine, not going to worry about it. V-PNTS is the layer I want it to be on. In the workbook, it goes through layer by description, which you can do that and have it create layers based on those descriptions. I don't like doing that. I like to have a little more control over my layer names, but again, it's up to you. Now the next one then, instead of drawing range or draw all, we're going to actually go draw point group. So I'm going to click on that. It's going to pop up our point group manager, and I'm going to say in this point I want to draw buildings. So click OK, and now you can see it's drawn my buildings in there. It looks like it picked up my EPs as well. Not sure why it did that. I'm going to go look at that for a second. It shouldn't have done that. Oh, it's because I clicked on EP. All right. Well, that wasn't too smart. So building, and then I clicked EP as well, so that's why it clicked in both. That's fine, it works. They're in different places. You can see the EP edge of pavement's out around the outside anyway, and the buildings are on the inside. So that actually works to have both those up there. The idea here, though, is I can erase these after I get done using them. So I'm just going to go with the line under draft, and I like using this one because it actually will prompt me to actually use point numbers. So here it says show options for startup and I'm just going to go ahead and uncheck that and click OK here. And now I want to go, just a quick thing before I get into this here, I want to change my layer, and I'll see what I've got for layers. And I don't really see anything that's going to work for me, so I'm going to go V-building. So I'm going to create a layer. So let's just go to LA, type in LA, oops, hang on a sec here, LA, enter. And lots of ways to get into this thing, but that's the one I use all the time. So we're in the layer section here, and then click on new, and I'm going to call another one called V-BLDG. And I'm going to make it, I think I will go with the little thicker line. So I'll go with blue. I know on my CTB that blue is the right line weight. That's all I need to worry about right now. I'm going to use continuous. I'm going to create another layer, and I'm going to call it V-EP for edge of pavement. Now that I like using red. Red I've got designed in my CTB as being a pretty thin line, so I'm going to use that as my edge of pavement is going to be a thinner line, like a 0.35 thick line. Again, I don't set that here. I set that in my CTB. So we're good here. Now I'm going to go ahead and make this current, make that V building current, which I could do elsewhere, but it works to be right here. So now it's current. You can see right here, V building is current. So now I'm actually ready to use the line. So I'm going to go back to the draft tab and click on line right here, and I can actually just start picking lines. So I'm going to go here and here and here. It's like, well, I don't have anything for over there, so I might want to do this a different way. In fact, for purposes of what I'm doing right here, I'm going to actually type in LA again, because let's see, it's not showing up really well. I'm going to make that building, I'm going to make the building cyan so it shows up a little bit better for me, so you can see it there. So now I've drawn lines there, but I don't have a third point over here. Okay, well, maybe the way to do this, and this is very common for surveyors to do, because if you got 3 points, you can make the building, assuming that the building is actually right angles at the corners. So I'm going to go ahead and erase these 2 lines here, and in fact do a REC for rectangle, and click right here and then up here, and you can see by doing it that way, now I've already got this in, assuming that the building is actually square at the corners. I mean, squared off at the corners. So now here I've got line again, so I'm going to use the line and just pick right here again, points along here, and this will be my building, and you can see it's going to just pop right in really well to these points, and there's my buildings. Now if you look over here on my sample, that's going to look similar to that, so I know I'm on the right track here. Now there's going to be some points in there that are driveway, so I can fill those in. There's going to be points that are T dash, remember the trees? So you can do another point group and just show those point groups for the trees and put those trees in. And then you've got out here, you've got edge of pavement, and you've got a water line, like I said, and sewer. So those are all things you can look forward to putting in here, but that's the concept here. Now on the EPs, we'll have to switch to another layer. So I'm going to go back here to home and switch this from V building to VEP. And now I can start drawing again, go to draft, line, and here's an EP right here. So I can just kind of march down through here, pick up my EPs as I go along. Now that's probably going to be a radius right there. It looks like it's probably curved, but I don't need to worry about that right now, so I won't draw that, and I'll just repeat my command and go here and just pick up the EPs as I go along. And you can see how to do this now. So pick up your points, but now I'm not looking at a ton of points. It's very confusing to look at all these points and have it make some sense to us. So that's how you'd go through and do that on each of these different points. Now it's like, well, now I don't need those points anymore, so I don't want to just keep clouding up my drawing. So here's the way to do this. So this is a good place to save in between points here. By the way, I've got this set up here on the top so that this, and you can do this with these, it shows some different stuff up here, but I can put my layer control up here on top, which is really handy, so I don't have to keep going back to the home tab just to change layers. So I can stay over here under draft and just change my layers up here, which is a very handy Carlson thing there. So now what I want to do, in this case I actually do have to go back to layers, so I'll go to home, and under here there's several different things under the layers panel. One of them is an isolate command, so I want to use this and show you how it works. So we'll click layer isolate, and I want to zoom up here a little bit so I can make sure I pick up the points. Click on this and hit the enter key, and what it's doing is it's going to isolate the points. So now I've got all this. I'm just going to zoom out here and take zoom extents, or actually just take and click, select all these, 132 of them, hit the enter key, and all I've done is selected the entities out. The points out. So now I go back in here and go unisolate, layer unisolate, and you can see now my drawing's all there. So now I've added the points, but I don't have to worry about managing my points all the time. I've got my line work in there, which is what I want, but I don't have to worry about the points. And so you can just march down through here. Those are the 2 point groups I created, and you can pick these all up. Now for the topo map, again, we're focused on just these items up here in this corner here, actually just our topo of parcel 1. But just so you know, and you could proceed doing this with the same methodology exactly to create your ALTA. So there's all kinds of stuff down here in the ALTA that you've got to do as well. And so that's how this works. Now, like for these big trees, you can pull in that civil or trees drawing that I've provided for you, insert that into the drawing, into your topo map, and then you can just copy or insert the actual trees right over top of where the point. So there's a point that's going to be representing where the tree is, the center line of the tree. Just drop that in there, and then you might want to look at the size of the tree to see where the drip line is, and then scale your drawing of your tree up or down to meet that size of that tree. And therefore you're getting it in the right way, and it's on the right layer, the tree layer or landscape layer, shrub layer, whatever you want to call it. And then the trees are sized correctly as well. And that's how you go along and do your topo map, your site topo map, as well as your ALTA. That should cover it for what I wanted to do with this lecture here.